So I came out to my pathetic garden to get some of the ingredients, and I was just so distraught over this year. I didn't do anything. I've got all kinds of stray plants growing, some corn there, and some tomatoes where I didn't plant them, and with all the rodent issues that I had chewing my plants off to the ground, I was lucky enough to have a couple of tomato plants that actually did make it. And there's quite a few tomatoes on this. Is just 2 plants here, but there's quite a few tomatoes on them, and I'm going to use a couple off this plant, and not the spaghetti squash. That's been a joke this year. I meant to say yellow squash. That's actually done pretty well also. So I just picked a couple the other day, but boy, it rained for like the last 12 hours, heavy and hard. So I'm going to try and get a couple of young ones for this dish. And this one here has gotten a little out of control. I'd like it a little smaller for this particular dish, but beggars can't be choosers, right? Oh, and a word on these Fiskars clippers. If you have a pair of these or thinking about getting a pair of these, be extremely careful. These things are sharp on all 4 sides. I learned that the hard way. I couldn't believe it. But I slid my hand down this to put it in my pocket and sliced my finger open probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. So just be careful if you've got a pair of these. They work good. They work really good, actually. So let's see if there's any more small ones. There's a perfect one. Yeah, this is the size that I'd like. So if I can find one more, if not, I'll have to use one that I've picked previously, which is going to be too big. But again, it's all I've got, so it looks like I'm going to be stuck using a larger one. And I like to cut them in rounds, so maybe I'll try and hollow them out and get rid of some of the seeds if there's too many seeds in the bigger ones. And then we'll come over here and we'll look for 3 good-sized green tomatoes. I kind of got my eye on this one. That's a nice one. If I can get 2 more like that, I'd be good to go. There's another candidate right here. That'll be perfect. Okay, and there he is. So this will be our last one for this recipe. Okay, we'll be back. Okay guys, we're going to get started on this dish. This is going to be my main course tonight, probably my only course. And it is going to be finished in the Dynaglo smoker. Not that I'm going to smoke it, but I'm going to use that as my cooking vessel with natural hardwood barbecue briquettes. So what you need to make this is, the way I'm going to make it, is you're going to need 3 yellow squash. You can actually substitute zucchini for this if you want. You're going to need half a stick of butter, a yellow onion, or white, whichever you prefer. You're going to need garlic. You're going to need sour cream, and I'm using 8 ounces. I'm adding the tomatoes, the green tomatoes, to this, which is kind of unusual for, yellow squash casserole. But I like the flavor, and that's the way that I'm going to do it this time. You're going to need an egg. You're going to need some breadcrumbs, and I always make my own. I throw them in the oven. You're going to need 6 slices of bread for the crumbs for this dish, and I like using wheat bread. So I'll throw them in the oven on broil high and it doesn't take long at all. Flip them, let the other side brown, flip them again, let the other side almost start to turn black, and shut it off and take them out of the oven, and then just let them dry up. You're going to need sharp cheddar cheese. I have 8 ounces here, but I'll probably use, actually 8 ounces, I'll probably use a majority of it. Parsley and chives. I don't have any parsley, so I'm going to use some oregano from my herb garden, as well as the chives, and salt and pepper, and that's basically it. So did I mention the egg? If I didn't, you need an egg. But I'm going to peel the squash and get them cut up. I won't pain you through watching me do that. And I'm going to slice up the tomatoes as well, and then we'll be back. Okay, so now I've got everything sliced up. Everything was washed well. Everything meaning the tomatoes and the squash. And now it's time to parboil these to ensure that they're nice and tender when it's finished. So I'm going to do that, and next I'm going to dice up the onion. I'm going to put the 1/4 stick of butter in a pan, and I'm going to saute the onion until it's again soft, probably 6 or 7 minutes. Okay, while my squash and tomatoes are parboiling, I ground up my breadcrumbs, and now I'm going to add my chive and parsley. Then I'm going to add about a tablespoon of salt. And next comes the garlic and pepper seasoning, and this is going to be about 2 tablespoons. I'm going to put in the cheese, and I'm going to use it all. You cannot have too much cheese or garlic. So this is sharp yellow shredded cheddar, and this is an 8-ounce package. Then I'm going to add the sour cream, the whole container, which is also 8 ounces. And I use standard everyday full fat, make your jeans tight, sour cream. I've got so many recipes on my mind I can't even keep this straight. I really should have it written down. And then I'm going to put in the egg, which my very own chickens laid. That just kind of helps bind things together a little better. And then I'm going to mix this up really, really well. Now, once this is all done mixing and the squash is done, squash and tomatoes are done parboiling, this is going to get all mixed together, and I'm going to put it in a glass pan. I don't want any weird metal flavor seeping into this. So basically I'm going to toss the tomatoes and the squash in this particular mixture. Then I'm going to put the onions in here. Actually, I'm going to put the onions in here as soon as they're finished, which is going to be very, very soon. And then I'm going to toss the squash and tomatoes in this mixture. Glass pan, and a lot of recipes call for using a spray in the pan, but I don't go for the spray stuff in a can. So I'm going to coat the pan pretty well with olive oil, and then I'll put this in the pan, and 350 degrees is a target temperature for about 20 minutes. If you wanted to add more cheese or more breadcrumbs to the top after 20 minutes, you're going to add 10 minutes to your cooking time. You're going to add 10 minutes regardless. But what I'm going to do is, when this has been in for 20 minutes or so, I'm going to just drizzle it with olive oil and put it back in for another 10 minutes. It's going to be covered, so I'll have the top covered with tin foil. And this will be pretty darn awesome. I've done this a few times before. I actually have done it with zucchini. That's why I mentioned you can do it with zucchini if you'd like. And it really, really comes out well. However, this is the first time I'm going to do it with the green tomatoes. So I'm going to put the onions in now. I can see that they're ready to go. And if you think it's a bit dry, the times that I've made this, it actually does look a bit dry, this mixture. So if that scares you, add some more butter or olive oil before you toss the zucchini. See what I mean with the recipes? Before you toss the squash and tomatoes through it. And I'm going to need a bigger pot, someplace here. I have a bigger pot. And yeah, I'll toss this all up and get everything coated really well, and then I'll get the Dynaglo fired up and get this on the heat. Okay, so here it is, all potted up and ready to go in the Dynaglo. So I'm going to get that warmed up. I'm going to put some tin foil over the top of this, and we're going to get the heat applied. One other thing that I didn't mention, I'm not going to do to this dish, but I have done it before, is if you have a little extra cheese and breadcrumbs, you can put them on top of this 5 minutes or so before it's finished. And if you're cooking in an oven, you can click on broil just for a short period of time to melt that cheese and brown up the top and make it crispy. And that's actually a nice touch, but I opted to not do that this time. This is just something that I put together for dinner tonight, so I thought I'd bring you all along. So we're going to get to the cooking phase, and then we'll be back. So the yellow squash casserole has been in the Dynaglo for about 15-18 minutes, something like that. And the temperature has dropped down to about 200 degrees. So I did some soul searching, and I think I'm going to make some more breadcrumbs, put them on top, and grate some cheese up, and we'll do the last 10 minutes or so like that. I just want it to be cheesy and crispy. So we'll be back once again. Boy, the rats are big this year. Okay, so it's been in the Dynaglo for about 20 minutes or so, and I kept it right around 325, 350. You can see here it got a little bit warm and started to burn. But now I'm going to put it in the oven on broil, and I'm going to do the breadcrumbs again. And I have this Lorraine cheese that I'm going to top it with. So let's see how this turns out. Well, it's finished. I have to admit I had a little taste off camera, and I really like it. The green tomatoes gave an unusual flavor, not a bad unusual flavor, but if you like fried green tomatoes, you'll like it in this recipe. Guys, have a great night. We'll talk soon.